Hello, hello, hello. This is John Ween, attorney and legal instructor with Blue to Gold Law Enforcement Training, coming to you tonight for Cops and Cameras. Thank you guys so much for being here. Those of you who are live online, for those of you who are receiving this recorded version, sorry that you couldn't make it, but so glad that you are taking advantage of this free training and still getting this recorded version and learning, growing, being a student of the game, being the best officer you can be. So let's get it started. Live audiences, you guys are going to receive a recorded version and a certificate. Store.bluetogold.com. Get your free class materials. Get your PowerPoint, your case law, your outline, as much information as you can. Here's our disclaimers, guys. Your laws and your SOPs may be more restrictive, right? We are teaching a national class right now. This is for nationwide. And so understand, we're talking about the federal standard. You may very well have laws in your states that are more restrictive, especially if you are one of our outlying states like Washington, Oregon, New Mexico, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, far more restrictive under your state constitution than the federal standard. So make sure that you are aware, if you are in one of those more restrictive states, you must know not only the federal standard, but you also know your state standard as well as your agency's policies. If you have any doubts, push it up the chain, push it up the chain, push it up the chain. Rely on the critical decision-making skills and leadership abilities of those in your chain of command. And finally, this course is legal education, not legal advice. I'm an attorney. I'm not your attorney. I'm not telling you what to do in any given situation. I am telling you what the law says. Here is our agenda. First up, the law. Then we're going to talk about First Amendment auditors, protesters, contempt of cop, and then your takeaways. So the law. What is the law when it comes to cops and cameras? There is the right for the eye to see or the ear to hear. Yep, indeed. Right? Molina versus City of St. Louis recognized the right to film matters of public concern, including police activity, is firmly established. And so do citizens have a right to film matters of public concern under which police activity falls? Yes, they do. And that right is firmly established. And so, as much as possible, do not infringe upon it. A person took video of officers breaking up a house party. That person was arrested and had his phone confiscated and searched, though charges were later dropped. The police argued that the First Amendment did not protect this activity because they were just recording, not gathering news. Is it still First Amendment protected? Answer is yes, it is. There is a First Amendment right to record police officers in public, even without an expressive purpose. First Amendment, first in our hearts, first in the amendments. Recording police activity in public falls squarely within the First Amendment right of access to information about the public's business, ensuring that the public can see and understand how officers exercise their power. Turner versus Lieutenant Driver, okay, 2017 case. And in this case, a man videotaped a police station from a public sidewalk across the street. Two officers approached him, asked for his ID, and detained him for investigation because they were concerned about who was walking around with a video camera. The officers eventually released him and returned his camera, which they had confiscated. Okay, so 2017, a while after September 11th, not so long ago now. But, I mean, for a while there was a very real concern, and there should be a concern, and we should be vigilant, right? And so the question is this person filming an area like a police station, looking for opportunities to exploit weaknesses? Listen, if that's what's happening, then, we got to do what we got to do. But you got to be able to convince me that's happening. Chances are that is not what is happening. And so understand, what does the law say, and how do we deal situations like this? Be very, very careful. The First Amendment protects the right to record police in public, subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. We agree with every circuit that has ruled on this question. Each has concluded that the First Amendment protects the right to record the police. And so if we're talking about qualified immunity, if we're talking about what law is firmly established, what an officer knew or should have known, well, every circuit apparently that has considered it has concluded the same thing, and that the First Amendment to protect the right to record the police. In the face of challenges to police action, an officer must respond with restraint. We are mindful that the preservation of liberty depends in part upon the maintenance of social order. But the First Amendment recognizes, wisely we think, that a certain amount of expressive disorder not only is inevitable in a society committed to individual freedom, but must itself be protected if that freedom would survive. Probable cause is generally a defense to a First Amendment retaliation claim. However, if the suspect can prove that you were primarily motivated to penalize his speech, he may win. What is the jaywalking exception when it comes to this type of thing? The jaywalking exception is if a plaintiff shows with objective evidence that they were arrested while others not engaged in protective speech were not. Then the no probable cause requirement does not apply. If proven, probable cause won't bar a retaliatory arrest claim against an officer. Basically, we're having a disparate application of the law, right? Other people who are doing the exact same thing for which this person was arrested, even if we had probable cause to arrest the person. However, others were doing the exact same thing, they were not arrested, and the difference that at least this defendant or a plaintiff, right, is going to try to point to is that the difference is they were engaging in protective speech and the others who were not arrested were not. Accordingly, the reason why I was arrested not was because I was jaywalking, but because I was engaged in protective speech. The existence of probable cause does not defeat a plaintiff's claim if he produces objective evidence that he was arrested when otherwise similarly situated individuals not engaged in the same sort of protected speech had not been. Fane Lozman versus Riviera Beach, the famous carry him out case.
Municipalities are immunized. They can arrest you even though it's some bogus charge like, because
Fane Lozman knows that firsthand.
Peter Ringel is a rude, obnoxious guy. He won't assign me one.
Mr. Lozman, please.
No, he's a rude, obnoxious, unprofessional.
Public attacks, okay?
I can say what I want to.
No,
yes, I
not in
can.
this meeting.
He is a rude, obnoxious,
Mr.
unprofessional
Officer,
employee
Mr. Lozman out
who
of the
needs to be
chambers,
thrown out.
Lozman has been arrested in Florida several times while speaking during the public comment session at Riviera Beach council meetings, even though state law guarantees his right to speak.
And municipalities and, the boards of municipalities, they're basically violating that because when somebody starts speaking, if it's not positive, they drag them out of meetings. I have been diligent in continuing my investigation. Excuse me. I'm not walking outside. I haven't finished my comments. Huh? Why am I being
You cannot
arrested?
get up here and insinuate that somebody up here is
I
crooked
didn't say anything.
behind
I was
what somebody
talking
else
about
has done.
County Commissioner Tony Mazzalotti. I have a right to make my public comment.
Take him out.
Look at this. I have a right to talk about. Why am I being arrested? I have a First Amendment
If you
right.
go out, you won't be arrested.
Say what I'm saying here. You're not even sharing the meeting minutes the way it's being shared on this aisle.
Thank you very much.
It's happening more often. The most recent in Louisiana when a teacher questioned a raise for a school superintendent.
You're going to leave or I'm going to remove you. Take your things and go.
Are you serious? I hope somebody has this on video. Really? Excuse me. Is it against policy to stand? Sir, do not. What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't. Can you explain? Are you kidding me?
Stop resisting.
So, I mean, it wasn't only that teacher last week. They regularly drag citizens out of government meetings, whether it's city council, city commission, school board, when the chairperson, who thinks is a very, dictatorial guy, doesn't like what they have to say.
Lozman sued the city of Riviera Beach when it abused his First Amendment and property rights and won in the United States Supreme Court. Now, in an unprecedented move, the U.S. Supreme Court is deciding Lozman's latest suit against the city for abridging his First Amendment rights to speak at public meetings.
The First Amendment is the most important amendment of all of them. That's why it's first. Because we live in America. And by doing what's happening, by trying to silence critics of government, we're working towards a police state. We're getting away from the constitutional values of what founded this country.
Lozman says the First Amendment Foundation, which filed a friend of the court motion in his case, has been in his corner from the beginning.
The First Amendment Foundation has been invaluable in my fight against political corruption.
If you're concerned about keeping government in the sunshine and fighting suppression of free speech, we need your help.
Okay, Fane Lozman, right? Fighting for free speech. A councilwoman was arrested under anti-tampering statute after presenting a petition to remove the city manager. The mayor accused her of unlawfully removing government documents. The councilwoman asserts that the arrest was retaliatory, aimed at punishing her for exercising her right to petition. Okay.
Live from KSAT 12, the Night Beat starts right now.
A Castle Hills woman says her First Amendment rights were violated. Tomorrow, her attorneys are set to make that case to the U.S. Supreme Court.
So this all started 5 years ago. Police arrested Sylvia Gonzalez when she was on Castle Hills City Council. One of her attorneys spoke with the Night Team's Patty Santos about her case and the road to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Sylvia Gonzalez's nearly 5-year legal battle started in this 2019 video. It shows the then Castle Hills councilwoman reach for a stack of documents on the mayor's desk. The papers were said to be signed petitions to remove the Castle Hills city manager. Gonzalez was accused of theft. 2 months later, she was charged with tampering with governmental records. That's her mugshot.
There is essentially a red flag that she was retaliated against.
Attorney Tanya Bidwell with the Institute for Justice is representing Gonzalez in her U.S. Supreme Court case. She claims there was a rush to arrest and book the then 72-year-old who had no prior criminal history.
It would have made sense to issue her a summons and then ask her to appear before a judge. That's what normally happens. Instead, they force her to sit in an orange shirt handcuffed on a metal bench in jail.
Shortly after, Gonzalez filed a lawsuit. Bidwell says Gonzalez's First Amendment rights were violated when Castle Hills police walked a warrant directly to the magistrate's office to have her arrested. Bidwell's team believes it supports their claim of political retaliation for Gonzalez spearheading a plan to remove the city manager.
Just because there was probable cause to charge her under the law doesn't mean she doesn't have a First Amendment retaliation lawsuit.
KSAT reached out to the city of Castle Hills for comment. Mayor J.R. Trevino says he could not comment on pending litigation. He is directly named in the U.S. Supreme Court case. Through an open records request, KSAT obtained the 41-page initial police investigation. The Bexar County District Attorney dismissed Gonzalez's original charge and closed her case in June 2021. Patty Santos, KSAT 12 News.
Petitioner provided sufficient objective evidence showing she was arrested under circumstances where similarly situated individuals not engaged in protected speech were not arrested, right? You're jaywalking. Here, Gonzalez provided that sort of evidence. She was charged with intentionally removing a governmental record. Gonzalez's survey is a permissible type of evidence because the fact that no one has ever been arrested for engaging in a certain kind of conduct, especially when the criminal prohibition is long-standing and the conduct at issue is not novel, makes it more likely that an officer has declined to arrest someone for engaging in such conduct in the past. Examples of officers violating the First Amendment: arresting drunk person yelling profanities and pointing fingers, arresting citizen who yelled profanity at officers, stopping car after occupant yelled "fuck you" to trooper, re-stopping driver after she gave cop the middle finger, arresting bystander who yelled, "Why don't you pick on someone your own size?" All of these cases had some underlying offense, but the true motive was to punish speech. And guys, ultimately, when it comes down to it, you need to make sure that you are not punishing a person for expressing an opinion or their viewpoint. We are concerned with conduct, not content. It is the conduct, not the content of what it is they are saying. It is how they are saying it. Don't focus on the content of the speech, focus on the conduct and how the conduct violates the law. I do not care what it is you are saying, right? Your First Amendment right guarantees you the right to say it. I'll fight to the death, defend to the death your right to say it, even if I may not like what it is you are saying. However, the manner, the conduct in which you are engaging, that can be a violation of the law. And we should enforce reasonably violations of the law. Arrested suspect wanted to pray before being transported to jail, and the deputy refused. I think this is an interesting case because, yeah, I mean, are we concerned? Hypersensitive, religion, yeah, I don't want to be running afoul of anybody. I don't want to be offending anybody delicate sensibilities. But here, the court said, well, a person has no right to delay an arrest to engage in religious practices. And I think ultimately that's the way you have to go, right? That's the way you have to go because that is a slippery slope. And before too long, you're going to have people saying, well, their religion is that they, can't leave the house for 2 weeks, so you can't arrest me for 2 weeks. My religion says. For example, if an officer places a suspect under arrest and orders the suspect to enter a police vehicle for transportation to jail, the suspect does not have a right to delay that trip by insisting on first engaging in conduct that, at another time, would be protected by the First Amendment. When an officer's order to stop praying is alleged to have occurred during the course of investigative conduct that implicates Fourth Amendment rights, the First and Fourth Amendment issues may be inextricable. 3 categories of speech that is not protected: incitement or fighting words, right? Words reasonably likely to elicit a violent response. Obscenity, obscene speech, right? Obscene speech, that which appeals to the prurient interest and has no valid artistic or expressive purpose or true threats. These are 3 categories that are not protected. Unlawful camper emailed the police and said that he was armed and will now fire on all sheriff and fish and game after this email. Well, that's my right, isn't it? To express myself, my First Amendment right. And the court said, absolutely not. This email was not protected under the First Amendment. That is a true threat. True threats are not constitutionally protected. The state may penalize threats, even those consisting of pure speech, provided the relevant statute singles out for punishment threats falling outside the scope of First Amendment protection. All right, so First Amendment auditors. How do we address First Amendment auditors? Respectfully and reasonably. The First Amendment protects the right to gather information about what public officials do on public property, and specifically, a right to record matters of public interest. And are people engaging in this practice now more than ever? Sure. Everybody wants their 15 seconds of YouTube fame, and a lot of people are deciding to pursue that by becoming First Amendment auditors. Auditors want 3 things. They want money, they want badges, and they want that 15 seconds of YouTube fame, right? Now, again, there is a 4th category out there that just wants to ensure that police officers know the law and are not violating the law and, infringing upon people's First Amendment rights. I get that. I do think that that is significantly the minority, right? I think that is the minority. I think the vast majority of people are trying to get paid, They're trying to get the officer to, trying to evoke an emotional response from the officer, get the officer to react from a place of emotion and not from professionalism, take advantage of an officer who may not know the law, may get caught up in the moment. They want badges and they want fame. And these videos, they do, man. They go viral. They go viral. It is not illegal or reasonable suspicion to record a public officer engaged in a public act in a public place. That is not illegal, nor does it constitute reasonable suspicion. If a person is recording you as a public officer who is engaged in a public act in a public place.
This is News Now Colorado, tuning in for my First Amendment audit. Right now, I'm right around the corner from, I believe it's CSPD Falcon Division. Falcon Division. Good, how are you?
I'm Brad Pratt, Police Department.
Nice to meet you.
You have a name?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Didn't want to tell me?
Not at the moment. I'd rather, yeah.
Okay, so when people take pictures of government buildings, in particular police department, it does cause some concerns, so some folks let us know.
Of course.
That's why I'm contacting you.
Fair enough.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
not a problem.
Is there anything I can help you with?
You got a badge number?
Okay, what I asked you, is there anything I can help you with? I'll be happy to give you all my information when we're done.
Okay.
Okay. I'm making a threat assessment right now, okay?
Okay, yeah, no, fair enough, man. I understand.
Does that make sense?
Not at the moment. I don't really need help with anything, you know?
Okay.
I'm just getting shots for a story. I was just trying to get squad cars driving up and down the street, really.
Okay.
I'm not going to, like, disclose any license information. Yeah, I was just trying to get pictures of some squad cars, some marked units. I'm not, like, disclosing any, like, license information or anything like that. I just need some pictures of some marked units.
I'm not buying it.
Okay.
Do you have an ID I can see?
I'd rather not give it.
I'm asking you for an ID or else we're going to detain you and get it.
Okay. Well, you have to have reasonable suspicion that committed a crime.
Because you're outside a law enforcement facility acting suspicious. That's all I need.
Is that a felony or misdemeanor?
That's a misdemeanor.
Being suspicious?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. It's called disorderly. Can I have an ID that I could see, please? Make this a lot easier on yourself, pal.
Yeah, I understand that. I'd rather not give my information.
You are required to identify yourself.
If I committed a crime.
And I'm telling
disorderly
you,
conduct. The Supreme Court has ruled that photography on a public sidewalk is.
We'll do it my way. Come with me.
I don't have any weapons, sir.
How do I know that?
I'm telling you, I'm just.
How do I know that?
Okay. Just so you feel better. That's I
doesn't make
understand.
me feel better.
Okay.
Where's your car?
Who said I drove?
I got your car key right here.
Okay.
You got to meet me in the middle here, okay? And here's what I'm asking for. Just listen to me for a second, okay? You got to meet me in the middle. When we're making this type of threat assessment, think about it from our perspective as well, okay?
I understand.
I understand the law. I understand your rights, all right? I protect them every day, okay?
All right. So, I mean, you guys, for a living, you determine if people are a threat, risk of harm, or they're not, right? So what is this guy doing? Okay, that's the question. What is he doing? When you see him there, you see that guy with his beanie on and his cool guy sunglasses, and he sounds like a 12-year-old, hasn't gone through puberty yet. What is he doing? He's trying to get a rise out of you. He's trying to evoke the exact response that he did, okay? And so, you tell me, is that guy a threat? Do you feel like he's a threat? Do you perceive him as a threat? Anything about him indicate that he is threatening? Or is he sitting out there trying to get the police to come out and contact him? Okay? You know the difference between an auditor and a criminal. Words they use, right? I mean, he tries to start to cite the Supreme Court, right? Actions scream, contact me, contact me. They push the legal envelope, and many tell you that they are engaged in First Amendment activities. Okay. So again, I get it, right? I get it. You know, everybody's a threat. They're not. Okay. They're not. So be safe, look out for yourself, protect yourself. But at the same time, understand some people are going to be doing this for the exact reason this guy was, and they're not, trying to film your vehicles going in and going out to try to harm you or your family later on, right? If that guy's sitting there saying, "Hey, I'm trying to get pictures of a squad car," right? Say, "Awesome, man. You want to I got a squad car right over here. You want to go take pictures of it? Take pictures of it." And he's like, "Oh, no, I'd really rather stand here." Okay, well, then I guess that doesn't really make any sense what it is you're saying, right? You want pictures? I'll get you pictures. Squad car. It's cool, right? Let's go get pictures of it. Don't play games with withholding bat names and badge numbers. It's immature and it can also violate the law or it can violate policy, right? Yeah. He got his cash, man. He got 41K, 41,000. That's not bad. That's not bad for a couple hours work, man. The best way to handle First Amendment auditors is to leave them alone.
They haven't came up to us, so. As long as I know you didn't call for backup. Yeah, he's talking about us. Take care, guys. You too. 15828 is the vehicle number. He was very cordial. And that is how you're supposed to act on a First Amendment audit.
Yeah, again, right? Yeah, that's how you're supposed to act on a First Amendment audit, so they say. Listen, at the end of the day, they want that internet fame. They want to feel like they matter, right? And the only way that they're going to feel like they matter is if they get those views, they get people putting those comments in there, and they can, add funny little comments to their videos. Don't give it to them. Don't give it to them. Don't bite. Don't make them feel like they are important because they're messing with cops, right? Okay. Protesters. At the core of the First Amendment is the right to protest the government, right? Protest the government. The First Amendment protects profanity and offensive ideas during a lawful protest. Cohen versus California, right? 1971. Guy wore a jacket that said "fuck the draft" and refused to take it off. Is that obscene language or is he expressing a political position? He is not literally talking about fucking the draft, right? He's not literally talking about having sexual relations with something. He's talking about his political position. Person was arrested inside courthouse because a wore a jacket that said "fuck the draft," refused to remove it. The state cannot criminalize the public display of a single four-letter expletive as it violates the First and 14th Amendments. While the particular four-letter word here is perhaps more distasteful than most others of its genre, it is nevertheless often true that one man's vulgarity is another's lyric. The Constitution leaves matters of taste and style to the individual. Police may regulate the time, place, and manner of speech if there is a legitimate need, right? So you can protest in this area during these times. Feel free, express yourself. The city required concert organizers to use city-provided sound equipment and technicians to limit noise disturbing residents. An organizer challenged this, claiming it restricted sound control and violated their free speech rights. And the court said, it is valid under the First Amendment as a reasonable regulation of the place and manner of expression, okay? So, you don't have to let them be as loud as they want to. You don't have to let them protest whenever and wherever and at whatever volume they choose, as long as you can articulate a reasonable basis for the restriction. Government may impose reasonable restrictions on time, place, or manner of protected speech, provided the restrictions are justified without reference to the content of the regulated speech, that they are narrowly tailored to serve a significant governmental interest, and that they leave open ample alternative channels for communication of the information. Could you stop a person from yelling religious messages in a neighborhood at 3 a.m.? Yes, you could. That actually sounds like disorderly conduct. Can they speak their message without yelling? Well, time, place, purpose, a restriction, right? If there is no offense, if they're not disturbing anybody's peace by talking at 3 a.m., then I think that it's reasonable to let them do that.
Okay, I'm in Moultrie, Georgia, standing on the public sidewalk. Here's the public sidewalk. I'm holding a sign critical of government, expressing my free speech right to criticize the government. And this is the City of Moultrie, Georgia Municipal Building and their City Hall. So I'm just going to stand out here and express my right to be critical of the government on the day before Independence Day. How you doing? I'm good, how are you?
I'm Pete Dillard.
My name's Jeff.
Jeff?
Uh-huh.
I'm curious, what's your issue?
Just expressing my right to free speech the day before Independence Day. To be critical of City Hall.
What?
To be critical of City Hall. Expressing my free speech right to be critical of government.
Well, what, anything in particular?
No, not really.
Well, isn't that kind of a vulgar way of doing it?
It sure is. Absolutely. And who are you with the city?
I'm the city manager.
Oh, city manager. Okay. Well, nice to meet you.
But I mean, no particular issue with City Hall?
Just expressing my right to free speech, that's all. Day before Independence Day.
It's really vulgar.
How you doing, officer?
Yeah, how you doing?
I agree, it is. Well, good.
What's going on here?
Expressing my right to free speech the day before Independence Day, to be critical of the government.
Why is that?
Expressing my right. Free speech.
Show me around. Okay.
All right. My name is Jeff, by the way.
Hey, my name is Corporal Britton Johnson with the Motor Police Department.
All right.
Have you done the proper thing to be able to do this?
What do I need to do? What do I need to do?
You can't just stand out here with the sign like this.
Why not?
Huh?
Why is that?
Because you have to sign a...
43 Central being around.
I can't hear you over your radio.
You have to get like a, what is it, a petition?
You have a outdoor permit from the city clerk.
Be able to do something like that.
Okay. So that's what I have to get an outdoor permit from the city clerk?
I don't know if you want to pay just to stand outside with a sign.
Can you go ahead and get it? Go in there and get one for me?
Sure, you can do it. Just go upstairs and the city clerk will take care of it.
Okay. I'd rather not do that. I'm just going to go ahead and stand out here with the sign.
No, that's what we can't do. You cannot just stand out here with that sign. Either you're going to do it the right way or we'll have to take
I'm not going to go do it.
measures to,
This is my constitutionally protected right of free speech.
Okay.
And you've been put on notice about that. This is the most basic, fundamental, and well-established right that we as Americans have. It's none of your business where I live.
But do you live here?
It's none of your business where I live.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, well, let me tell you what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to call my lieutenant. I'm going to ask him what are my steps that I need to do in order to get this done. And if he tells me that I can lock you up based off of this information, then that's what we're going to do, okay?
So you're threatening to have me locked up if you're lieutenant?
No, I'm not threatening anything. I'm just telling you what can happen due to you expressing.
What is your lieutenant's name? What is your lieutenant's name?
I don't have to tell you that.
I'd just like to know so I could talk to him too, or she.
Well, she's going to call him and talk to him, and then if it goes further, you can talk to him then.
Okay.
I'll get him to come over here.
That'd be great, yeah.
Okay.
Meet him, talk to him in person.
I'm just disappointed somebody would be that vulgar.
Well, I'm disappointed in you guys that you would come out here and harass a person for free speech.
I haven't harassed you, I just came out and talked to you. If that's harassment?
It seems like it.
Are you so fragile that that's harassment?
Are you so fragile that you don't like the word fuck?
I'm a decent person.
Are you offended by it?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I'm glad that you are.
Well, good.
I hope it offends you good and well.
Well, always offended that somebody's vulgar.
Like I said, I'd rather not get in a back and forth with you about it. I'm just expressing my free speech rights.
I think it's vulgar. I think it's low class. I'm very disappointed somebody would do that.
Okay, that's your opinion.
That's absolutely, and I have the right.
I'm very disappointed that you won't stand up for my civil rights and tell these guys to back off as a city manager. I'm giving you the opportunity to do that right now. Stand up and listen to me. You're the city manager. Listen to me. You're the city manager. Tell these guys to stand down and back off.
I will tell they will follow the law, the city ordinance, and I don't interfere with that.
What's going on?
I just talked with my lieutenant,
Yes,
and I
ma'am.
told him that you were out here having a great debate with our city mayor. And he told me we're not finna have that kind of stuff go on in the city of Moultrie. So you put your sign down, turn around, and place your hands.
Okay, I'll leave then.
No, you're gonna place your hands behind your back. You're being locked up for disorderly conduct.
For disorderly conduct?
Yes, place your hands behind your back.
All right.
If we can't do it the right way, we'll do it our way.
Okay, I'm right. I am. I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting. I'm just a little big. I'm a little big.
Can we put these in front?
You need a double couple?
Nah, he'll be all right. He's not gonna fight.
No, sir, I'm not fighting. I will not resist.
Lieutenant Cox said take us to the county jail.
Tip him.
Lieutenant Cox said that?
Yes.
Okay.
Now we do have a city ordinance about vulgar language. Okay. It's well within your rights to have your protest and all that, but the language is an issue. That's where it's at.
Yeah, I'm not answering any further questions. I will advise you guys to make sure you double check with this, because right now you're in violation of my civil rights.
I'm really not, but that's okay. Like I said, you have the right to protest, but the language is the issue.
City manager, I'm going to give you another chance to tell these guys that they're making a mistake and that I'm engaged in my free speech rights.
I don't interfere with police and performance of their duties.
All right.
That's not my place.
Where are we headed?
Right over here across the street.
Okay.
I'm going to do a second to make sure the road.
Well, fuck City Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are the legal issues here? I think that's interesting, right? I mean, I commend the city manager for engaging him in a, spirited conversation and saying, yeah, you're out here saying fuck City Hall, and I'm saying I find that vulgar. I find that offensive. I'm very disappointed that somebody would come out here and say that, right? Yeah, well, it's my right. Yeah, it's my right too, right? And so, I like that. I think that, he obviously needs to be a little bit better informed about the law, as do the law enforcement officers there. Unfortunate that it went that way. I do like her comment. If we can't do it the right way, then we'll do it our way. Yeah. Yeah. So again, what did he want, right? What did he want? He got what he wanted, right? He got what he wanted. And, again, obscene language is not protected, okay? But fuck City Hall is not obscene language. That is a political statement. Snyder versus Phelps. I don't know. Gonzalez, I don't know what the outcome was on that, man. I would imagine got paid. Snyder versus Phelps, we talk about the Westboro Baptist Church, right? And again, this is tough because, they have very, very, their perspective is offensive to many. Let me just say that, okay? The Westboro Baptist Church's message is offensive to many. And so a lot of things that they do is they go out and they protest near the funerals of American soldiers, expressing the opinion that God is killing American soldiers because of America's acceptance of homosexuality, right? And so, that creates issues, right? It creates issues for the families of those brave soldiers that gave their lives for the very thing that these people are now able to do, which is express their First Amendment rights. Speech on public issues occupies the highest rung of the hierarchy of First Amendment values and is entitled to special protection. Speech cannot be restricted simply because it is upsetting or arouses contempt. If there is a bedrock principle underlying the First Amendment, it is that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable. Okay? So, contempt of cop. You gotta watch out for contempt of cop. The First Amendment protects a significant amount of verbal criticism and challenge directed at police officers. You have to have thick skin to be a police officer. You guys are wasting taxpayer money, right? And so the officers then arrest that person for disorderly conduct. Yeah. Citizen was awarded $97,500. Yelling "fuck you" at an officer was not likely to provoke a violent response, and criticism of the police, profane or otherwise, is not a crime. Yep, the bird is the word. Officer pulled over suspect for speeding, but issued a non-moving violation. While driving away, she gave the officer the middle finger. He pulled her over again and changed the ticket to a speeding violation. And so I ask you, does that sound like that is retaliatory in response to her giving him the bird? I cannot respond how, I cannot see how that would be anything else, right? Her gesture was protected speech, and the second stop was an unlawful seizure since there was no new reason for it. Fits of rudeness or lack of gratitude may violate the golden rule, but that doesn't make them illegal, or for that matter, punishable, or for that matter, grounds for a seizure. A suspect was convicted of disorderly conduct and failure to obey a lawful order after shouting "fuck you" at rangers during an arrest. Defendant's profanity, while offensive, was protected speech under the First Amendment. The First Amendment protects verbal criticism, challenges, and profanity directed at police officers unless the speech is shown likely to produce a clear and present danger of a serious substantive evil that rises far above public inconvenience, annoyance, or unrest. Thiriach versus Hollenbeck. In that case, on a traffic stop, a car drove by and yelled "fuck you" to the trooper. The trooper then stopped the suspect for a noise violation. Trooper held personally liable for money damages. Unreasonable violation, right? Unreasonable seizure.
Is there something you need to say to us that you want to yell out the window? Who you yelling at? Look at me when you talk to me, son. Who you gonna yell at? What'd you say? F the police.
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
You're sorry. Get your hands out of your pockets.
Yes, sir.
Why you want to say that to the police?
I don't know, y'all protect us, I shouldn't have.
No, I ain't protecting you.
Yes, sir.
F the police. Why? You can get back. Why do you want to F the police, son?
I don't.
Why do you say it then? You think it's gonna make you a badass or something in front of everybody?
No, sir, I don't, because I'm getting fussed at right now.
You want to fuck the police?
No, sir,
well, here I am, right here, brother.
I don't want to.
Why not? You're a tough guy. Come on.
I'm not tough.
Huh?
I'm not tough.
You seem like a little baby the day you was in court, remember?
Yes, sir.
I'm giving you every opportunity.
No, sir.
Then why you want to yell about it when you're in front of your buddies right there? Is it cool?
No, sir.
You trying to be a badass in front of them?
No, sir.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
I'm giving you every opportunity to fuck me up. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Now let me ask you this. What have I ever done to you?
Nothing at all.
Not a damn thing.
Yes,
what has my partner ever done to you?
Not a thing.
Not a damn thing, right?
Yes, sir.
So why do you want to fuck the police?
I don't. I was being dumb.
No, it's a little bit more than being stupid is what I think.
Ignorant.
So let me ask you something. Next time you get caught selling weed or having weed on you, do you think somebody's going to try to cut you a break? If I go to goddamn jerking everybody out of that damn Jeep and I find 1 ounce of damn weed, do you think I'm going to take everybody to jail?
Yes, sir. No, sir. Just me.
No, hell, I'm going to take every one of your damn friends to jail.
Yes, sir.
How old are you?
17.
I didn't know y'all could be so goddamn stupid anymore. Everybody get out of the Jeep. You want to see how big of a damn asshole police is going to be? I'm fixing to show you. I'm fixing to search every damn one of you and every damn ounce of this Jeep. Man, so help me God, if I find one damn seed, every damn one of you is going to go to jail because of fuck the police, son.
Yes, sir.
This smart ass right here says fuck the police.
Yep. Officers are fired for violating policies. 1983 action. What do you guys think? The officer violated clearly established law when he stopped that vehicle because somebody yelled fuck the police when they drove by? Yeah, I think that's an unreasonable seizure. I think that is a seizure without reasonable suspicion. Wood versus Eubanks, right? Guy wore a shirt that said fuck the police, fuck the fucking police, fuck the motherfucking police. He was at a fair, right? Fairgrounds. His shirt offended the organizer of the event. Okay. The park director ordered the protester to leave. Several profane comments were directed at the director and police. The park director said that the protester was disturbing his peace because of the profanities. Right? Okay. Yep. Park director tells the guy to leave. He refuses. Do we have an issue there? And does it have anything to do with fuck the police? No, it doesn't, right? The arrest violated the First Amendment and no qualified immunity. I'm not arresting the guy because he's wearing a shirt that says fuck the police. I'm arresting the guy because he was told to leave and he's refusing to leave. Okay. Tyler, can you throw the penal code into the chat? Right? I mean, it doesn't protect fighting words. Okay? Words reasonably likely to elicit a violent response, right? We talked about that. Police officers are held to a higher standard than average citizens because the First Amendment requires that they tolerate coarse criticism. Yep. The expectation is that law enforcement officers have a thick skin because, yes, indeed, you are going to be dealing with the very worst that our society has to offer. Obstruction, right? Obstruction. Police should not stop, cite, or arrest a 1A auditor except for significant obstruction, right? I'm talking obstruction. Make sure it's obstruction. Make sure it's not contempt of cop. Taking your focus away is not obstruction. That is everyday life for an LEO. So there you go, Tyler, right? Like we said, fighting words are not protected by the First Amendment. Okay. So, disturbing the peace, encompassing unlawful fighting, loud and unreasonable noise, or using offensive language likely to provoke violence. Okay. So if I go into some place where maybe a specific religious group gathers and I say, I'm going to kill every one of a specific religious group, is that protected speech? No, right? Because that is words reasonably likely to provoke violence. So we got some issues, right? We got some issues, okay? All right. So the guy's walking here, right? The guy's walking here. And, is there evidence that the stop was motivated, prohibiting protected speech? What do you guys think, right? You're taking my focus away. You're taking my focus away from what I'm trying to do, okay? Yeah, we get to whether this seizure, right? Because that was a seizure. I mean, we seized that dude. Reasonable suspicion, right? So let's answer a few questions for the jury. Trooper, okay? I'm not going to call you officer. I'm going to call you trooper, okay? During a traffic stop, kid walks by, yells, "Trooper, thank you for keeping us safe." Yep. Now, that trooper, if he's on a traffic stop, he's going to say, hey, you go. I'm going to see what that kid wants. Go over, hey, did you need something? Do you need something? Because you're walking away, you start yelling at a trooper, you're taking away my attention from what I'm trying to do here, right? Jam that little kid up. Learn them something, right? Have them explain to you how they're a state trooper. Your jurisdiction is the state of Oklahoma. Did that child take your focus away? Get him, right? Get him. Get him. And Kim, I'm pretty sure Pacific time and Mountain Standard Time is the same right now. Yeah, pretty sure that's the same right now. That's right, Colby. Not in my town. Not in my town. You don't take the attention away from a law enforcement officer. Damn straight. During a traffic stop, citizen asked, "Hey, can you give me directions?" Who has been there, right? Like, "Hey, officer, while you're here," you're like, "Yeah, I'm sure, right? Might as well. I mean, I just stopped this guy for shoplifting, but sure, what can I help you with, right?" I can multitask. Yeah, yeah. That tourist, take your focus away. Yep. Detain, cite, arrest that. Yeah, arrest them. Okay. Is the key difference that my client disrespected you? Yes. Yes, it is. Right? Yes, it is. Okay. Okay. Will the jury see this as obstruction or a violation of the First Amendment? Right? Yep. I hear you. I hear you. Obstruction usually requires some physical intervention, substantial interferences, or legitimate safety concerns. Legitimate safety concerns. Nora Robert Sam 171.1233, recording a law enforcement activity. A person who is not under arrest or in the custody of a peace officer may record a law enforcement officer. This subsection must not be construed to authorize a person to engage in actions that interfere with or obstruct a law enforcement activity or otherwise violate any other law in an effort to record a law enforcement activity. Okay, so reasonable time and place restriction. Absolutely. Okay. Citizen loudly criticized a police officer during a battery investigation. As the officer spoke louder, the citizen spoke louder. The citizen was arrested for obstruction. Back and forth, up we go, right? Could that live PD video not be considered a consensual stop? No, right? He chased him down. He said, "Come over here." He said, "Walk over here, look at my car." Yeah, that wasn't consensual. The arrest violated the First Amendment and no qualified immunity. Criticism of law enforcement officers, even with profanity, is protected speech. Courts are to construe a statute in such a way as to save it from constitutional infirmity. The First Amendment protections of free speech encompass a significant amount of verbal criticisms and challenges directed at police officers. If we were to hold that true oral statements are acts for purposes of obstruction, it would likely be susceptible to charges of overbreadth for prohibiting a substantial amount of constitutionally protected conduct. In State versus Jeter, a citizen yelled to an approaching car that the female they were talking to in the parking lot was an undercover cop and to leave. In response, the cars left. Is that person actively interfering with a police investigation? Court said this was legitimate obstruction of official business. She's a cop, right? That's why you got to check when you're on that. Those prostitution stings, man. Right? Say, "Show me your teeth." You got all your teeth? Yeah. All right. Though we must be extremely careful when punishing mere words, we conclude here that Jeter's statement could be a sufficient act to constitute obstruction of official business, and Jeter's act was dangerous to Dillinger and was the type of behavior the statute was meant to prohibit. Beautiful, beautiful. So, First Amendment obstruction, right, requires this: physical intervention, physical obstruction, physical interceding and complicating or making an officer's position more tenuous, the situation more dangerous. Substantial interference, right? You can't do the job. They're yelling at you, they're screaming at you, they're getting into your personal space, honking their horn, blasting their music, whatever it is. You have a legitimate safety concern, right? So, physical intervention, substantial interference, you can't do the job, or a legitimate safety concern. You need to sell me on the legitimate safety concern. Why? Because we don't want it to appear like contempt of cop, guys. And a lot of times, if there is no legitimate safety concern, unfortunately, that is what it's going to be. All right, so tell me, guys, do we have legit obstruction here?
It's really funny because we can get all of this on the recording.
23 there, sir.
Here, I'm gonna give this to you to hold on to.
608. Go ahead, 608. I'll be out with 612. 10-4.
I have a Zoom in later, so if you need to pull it out or whatever.
Do me a favor, activate your camera on this pickup. Sydney, can you tell me a car suspicious vehicle? It's going to be commercial truck, Nebraska 393616, 393616, occupied 2 times.
You don't have to give your ID when you did nothing wrong.
Okay, fine. 11th in Illinois.
Yeah, you hold on.
You got a license, registration?
Did I commit a
Proof
crime?
of insurance?
Did I commit a crime?
I want your license, registration, and insurance.
I'm asking you, did I commit a crime?
I will explain that in a second here.
Well, according to Nebraska state statute, all I
I
have
just
to
asked you for your license,
Well, I
your
understand.
registration, and your proof of insurance.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, you're being video recorded and audio recorded.
So are you.
Oh, well, good. And you're telling me I did not commit a crime. Correct?
Shanghai 612 for 393616, white and gray 92, 1500, white and gray 92, Chevrolet 1500, registered to Stephen Bell, 2446 11th Avenue, 2446 11th Avenue, Sydney, March 2, 2014, February 2014, insurance is still valid. 10-4.
I'm going to ask you again, what am I being pulled over for? What am I being stopped for? Am I being detained?
23.
Not at the moment.
Well, can I have my license registration be free to go, please?
Why are you circling my crime scene?
I do not have to answer any questions without a lawyer present.
Okay, why are you constantly following us?
I do not have to answer any questions without a lawyer
Are
present.
you afraid?
I do not have to answer any
Okay.
questions without a lawyer
I'm
present.
going to tell you what. The next time you follow me to a crime scene or any scene of that nature, including a traffic stop or anything of that nature, I will arrest you for obstructing. Because one, you're taking away my focus on what needs to be taken care of.
But you're
All we're doing
but
is
you
driving.
are.
Let me explain something to you.
Well, let me explain something to you. You don't run the law. You only enforce the
Do you
law.
want to go to jail for obstructing?
For what?
What
For
are we-
I'm driving down
What
the
is he
street.
You are taking away from my duties right now.
All he's doing is driving down the street.
Do you want to go to jail too?
For what?
For
Obstructing.
what? Obstructing
Officer
what?
Hopfrock, what am I instructing by driving down the street?
Well, Stephen, what he's trying to explain is when you keep driving by and things like that, he has to take some focus away from what he's actually
So
trying
the
to do.
5 other cars that I've watched do the same thing, they're going to get stopped too tonight?
You've
Because I
drove
have them
around-
on video, Officer Hopfrock.
Well,
I have this video.
You've drove around at least 5 times since I've been right here.
So is other vehicles. So have
They're
people
leaving
walking by.
They're leaving the theater.
Um,
That's understandable. Or are you just
so
leaving-
you're telling me I don't have the right of freedom of movement?
All I'm saying is you're creating a problem for yourself.
You're creating a problem
No,
for me
you're
right now.
creating. Look.
You have stopped me for no
Listen.
reason.
Stop following us around.
There's no login.
Stop following us around! That's your last warning!
You got that.
Go ahead and record it.
We are.
Officer Tobler 612, no problem. Just because you're a chicken shit motherfucker and you had no problem.
Scott, that's
Really?
enough. Stephen, go, okay? Just go.
I would like to file charges. He threw something at me for assault.
Okay.
I would like to file charges,
Let me
Officer
get your
Hopfrock.
information, and I will forward that on to Major Akins.
Okay.
Okay? He handles all of the internal
Okay.
affairs. Okay? So what's a phone number for you, Steven, so he can get a hold of you?
So, what are the legal issues here, right? First things first, right? I think this is interesting, okay? So, if you are out at a crime scene, right? Somebody burglarized this store, and the same truck keeps driving around and circling around you. Is that concerning? Is that suspicious? Were they involved in the crime? Were they a witness to the crime, right? Yeah, so I would argue that yeah, that's reasonable suspicion, right? Reasonable suspicion is a moderate chance that the person was, or is about to be engaged in some kind of general criminal activity, right? And so I've got a concern. So yeah, am I going to go contact them as a suspicious vehicle? Sure. The issue is the officer doesn't really know what he can and can't do or why, right? He is policing from emotion there toward the end, yes. They wanted to get under his skin. They wanted to get a response, and man, they got it in spades, right? Now he's like, oh, I want to file criminal charges because he threw my license at me, right? Well, there you go, right? He poked, and you bit right in and gave him everything he wanted and more, right? You gave him what he wants. Look, now he matters, right? Okay, so you go up, you see who it is, right? You see who it is. You know who Steven is. This officer has been familiar with Steven, right? You're like, all right, Steven, what are you doing out here, man? Why are you driving around? Well, you don't have a right to drive around now. You drove around like 5 times. All these other cars are driving around. They're not driving around in circles, brother. You're driving around in circles. What are you doing out here, man? No, I'm just recording you. Okay, well, rock and roll. Stay away from my crime scene, okay? Have a good night. I don't know. I don't know what Steven's problem is. I can think of a whole lot of other things I'd rather do with a young lady on a nice night out on the town than sit around and watch cops standing outside of a broken window. But, whatever. That's what Steven's into. That's what Steven is into. I mean, he's not alone. He's got a young lady there. Go spend some time with her, right? That ain't a date. That ain't a date. Treat her right, Steven. He ain't appreciate you. She ain't appreciate you, young lady. Find yourself somebody better, right? Maybe like Officer Hoffenbrow. Okay. So at the end of the day, your suspicion is dispelled. You know who it is. You know it's Steven. He's just messing with you. Okay. Well, then your suspicion is dispelled. What do you need to do? Release him immediately. Yep. But obviously, the officer's a little confused. He says, "Oh, am I being detained?" Oh, no, not right now. Oh, then I'm free to go. Give me my stuff back. No, you're being detained, man. Reasonable suspicion, right? You're driving around, you're circling my crime scene. It's weird. Okay. Now I know who you are. My suspicions are dispelled. I don't believe you had anything to do with this crime. Okay. Let him go, right? Let him go. Yeah. And, Vanessa, that's going to be state specific. When recording an officer, do you have to let them know you're recording them, right? Are you in California, Vanessa? That sounds like a California question. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, you guys have your 2-party recording requirement. And in most states you can do confrontation calls. In most states you can have victims call suspects and record them. And as long as one party knows the call is being recorded, it's acceptable. California, you guys have weird laws about that, right? Yep. All right, guys. So here is our takeaways, right? Here is our takeaways. Major takeaways. Focus on conduct, not content. Focus on conduct, not content. I am not preventing you from saying something. I am preventing you from saying it or doing it in a way that violates the law. Make legit obstruction arrests. Okay? Don't just say you're taking my attention away. Obstruction, right? Obstruction. No. We're going to lose obstruction if we abuse it. And finally, if in doubt, just leave. Remember, don't bite, don't rise to it, don't give them what they want, okay? Don't give them what they want. Guys, there are so many videos out there of the officers doing the right thing and just standing there and talking to these people, just having conversations, not responding emotionally, not becoming unprofessional, not taking the bait, biting, falling into the trap. And guess what? Those videos, they have 10, 15, 20, 25 views. And then you have videos where officers are flying off the handle, flying into a rage, grabbing people, slamming them up against cars, arresting them, putting them in the back of cars, and those have 5 million views, right? They have 15 million views. Inside Edition is doing news stories on those videos. Why? Because it's sexy. If it bleeds, it leads. Don't be a star of that YouTube video. Don't give them what they want. Don't rise to the challenge. Don't bite. Just understand what they're doing and say, okay, I get it, right? I get it. All right, guys, if you find this information useful, please scan the QR code, leave us a review. Go to bluetogold.com. Help us get this information out to other law enforcement officers. If you appreciate it, if you appreciate what we are doing, guys, give us some love, right? Give us some love. Anybody who's ever gone to Amazon knows if something has 100 reviews or something has 10,000, I feel far more confident in buying the thing that has 10,000 reviews. So please give us your reviews, give us your feedback, help us spread the good word to other law enforcement officers across the nation.